Hi guys, I'm the Simming Rowlet and welcome to my second build video. This build is kind of based on an 19th century American cottage homestead, so it's got really old elements to it. The interior ground floor kind of takes that style and puts it through the whole ground level, but the upper levels have been recently renovated, so they've kind of got more of a modern feel to them, nicer walls and just nicer like furniture in general, but the bottom floor has been relatively unchanged in terms of the furniture, so it's still got some pretty old furniture inside of it, but they've got some new things such as like a TV and whatnot, obviously. Anyway, we begin by just building the basic shape. It does take me a while to find the shape I want, and I do end up realizing that the second level is just way too small, so I just bring the whole house back a little bit. And one thing I hate about The Sims is just trying to find the perfect like roof layout, because it just clips everywhere and it's really annoying. But once you get it, once I got it, it was really like, I felt really happy about it. It's a good sense of achievement when you finally get the right roof shape and it looks fine. And I think we're almost done with the basic shape, but one thing that does take a really long time, which I'll probably skip over, is the indoor room layout. That takes me a ridiculously long amount of time, so I'll just save everyone the hassle of skipping themselves and I'll just skip it once we get up to it. I was going to try and incorporate some kind of diagonal section of the house with the diagonal roof, but I decided not to include that kind of thing and just build a basic little extension to the side instead of having a hexagonal exterior. I do include one though in the end, but it's just not in the place that we just looked at. And we're still doing the exterior. I end up making them the same size, and we also have like a nice front veranda which I include. And I think it turned out really nice with like the curved, like it's almost like a seamless transition from the side of the roof to the veranda. As you can see, I'm kind of like tweaking it a little bit. It's not perfect, but from a distance it looks really nice. And it gives the house a nice little, it gives the house more shape at the front. And the veranda, always good. And there's also a little back deck as well, which has like a nice glass roof shelter. And the way I did try and include a curved fence, but it was too fiddly and it didn't work the way I wanted it to, so I just made it square. Anyway, I think we're about to start the glass roof. I do have to mess around with the neighboring roofs just to make it not clip, but it was quite easy to do, and I think it turned out looking pretty good in the end. A nice space to sit out in the back during summer and get some sun. Well, I guess you get too much sun in the summer, so maybe in spring it would be nice to sit out the back. I do only put like a chess table and a barbecue, but it could easily be substituted out for like an outdoor table, and it would just quite easily transform the space to be able to be used for something different. And with the walls, I had to experiment with lots of different types, but in the end I just chose like a really simple paneling. The second floor has two types of paneling while the ground floor just has one type, so the ground floor ends up having just a regular dark brown paneling, while the parts of the top floor uses some white paneling. And I did mess around with the roof colors, but I think I kept the default. Yeah, so here comes the brown, and then I do make it all white to start with, but while I'm building and changing, it does get changed to less white and more brown, and then just having some of the little bits that poke out from the top on the second floor are the parts that stay white, but everything else generally will be brown. I do keep like the ground floor extensions white to begin with, but they get turned to brown later on. Anyway, fiddling with some of the trims of the exterior just so it breaks up the space, so it's not just like just a random seam across the top, so there's a little bit of trimming going on there so it looks a bit better. I do mess around with some of the colours. It's a bit fiddly putting them in, how you have to have like a floor above them, but you can just delete it afterwards and it just stays there, which is fine. And messing around with the trim. I think I'm almost done, so once we do that, I think we go indoors to start work on the rooms, but I'll skip the first part of that because I go through lots of different like iterations of it and it's a bit boring to go through every single one, and yeah, I'll just skip that. Yeah, so here's the little hexagonal part. I'm pretty sure that's not a hexagon, but like it's got diagonal walls and it's some kind of shape. And I do include a nice... I've always wanted to use those like diagonal couches, so I end up putting it in that corner, and I think it's like a really nice space to sit and read, and I think I really like how it turned out. Putting some gutters on there. Anyway, actually I think we do work on the windows and doors first, and the flooring for the outdoors area. So the outdoor deck has a bright coloured wooden paneling, but the front does have a darker pattern to it. And I do mess with the foundations, but in the end there'll only be two types of foundations. So the decks have the wooden, just like those crisscross ones, but the actual building has just a basic brick. I do change parts of it a bit later on, but it does get changed back. So I think we're just clearing out the rooms, or the space, so I can start messing with the rooms. Yeah, I think we're putting a trim up there as well, because I think I actually get rid of the roof and just have it a trim, a flat roof, which I think looks okay in the end. Because the second floor was recently renovated, so it makes sense that there'll be some kind of modern elements to it. I didn't go overboard on the exterior though, because I didn't want to detract too much away from the kind of old aesthetic of the house. And I do make all the windows white to begin with. The second floor windows will probably do stay white, but the lower level just becomes I make it darker brown just so it matches, because it kind of stood out way too much, and I'm not sure what happened there, but I looked in the ground for a little bit. Anyway, messing with the windows. I do really like these Seasons ones, the new Seasons windows, as you can tell, because nearly every single window used are from the collection of windows that comes with Seasons. Because it's just really nice, and they all have a matching aesthetic, so they look really good together, and there's lots of different like shapes and sizes. You can put them next to each other, and it's just very versatile in general. And this part we're working on right now ends up becoming the kitchen, so the windows, I shrink the windows down because that's probably that wasn't the best type of window for a kitchen. And the kitchen does end up being like a little separate room with two ways to get in, so it's kind of like a separated kitchen instead of the previous house, which was kind of an open space living. This is more of like this uses the styling from like an older kind of house, obviously, so open space living I don't think was a big thing back then, so it kind of makes sense that everything is kind of like roomed off in separate areas. So we're messing with the foundations and walls again. So I do try, because it's like, when I said white I meant like a creamy white kind of color, but I try actual white for a bit, but I do change it back to a creamy color because sometimes white is just too blinding on the eyes. So I just pick the creamy color, and I do change the stairs so it isn't white anymore. I do mess around with the front flooring a bit more, but I do keep it that nice darker brown color. Messing with the foundations. Yeah, so this is where I test out kind of like a more concrete kind of foundation around the extension areas, but I do just change it back to brick because there was just too much going on the foundation. Like I think 2 types at most is enough. This area we're working on now ends up being the formal dining area, and there will be no door. That will end up going away. And I do for some reason like try this like modern aesthetic for the sides, but I didn't like how that turned out at all, so I just made it back to what it was. And I do that to the back area as well, having like a really big glass pane door and windows, which in theory it kind of looked good, but in reality I didn't really like it. Because I was gonna put the lounge room in that area, but I moved it to a completely different spot anyway, so it probably wouldn't have worked if I kept it. Fiddling around with the back windows quite a bit. Once we get indoors though, I'll skip it ahead as I said. Yeah, so this is where I like try the modern aesthetic for some reason. Not sure why. Because if you look at the house from the back, it really detracts from the overall feel. Yeah, experiment with heaps of different windows. But I end up just picking the regular Seasons window. But I think I do use a nice door from a different pack. Yeah, so as you can see, it looks a lot better with just the simple windows. Oh wow, I put more glass panes down. That they will disappear though in the end. Messing around with the windows. The upper floor doesn't have a lot of windows, but every room has at least one, so that's good enough, I think. And I don't think you'd spend so much time upstairs because the lower level has really nice spaces to just sit around, read books, chat. It's just a really nice space in general, so I think once you wake up, you're just gonna go downstairs and live there. Yeah, so now we're indoors. I mess around with the rooms a lot, so I'll probably just let it run for a bit, but I'll just skip it if it gets too long. So there was a lot of space to work with on the ground level, so there was lots of potential about where things would go. So, but the upstairs area was where the annoying parts came in, because it's not that big, and depending on where the stairs are, it could take away a lot of potential rooms, because I did want to have 3 bedrooms and 2 bathrooms upstairs, so it was going to be a bit of a difficulty. It was going to be kind of difficult to do that upstairs with that much space, but I think it ended up working nice in the end. Yeah, and I also wanted to have a pretty decent entrance instead of like a tiny entrance like I was gonna create now. So I ended up removing everything and starting over. Anyway, this is probably going to go on for a bit, so I'll just skip this part. Right, so I've basically laid out the design now, so after we do the final touches to the doors and whatnot, we will begin doing the walls and then start decorating. I think we begin from the kitchen, so that's pretty good. And I do end up trying to like separate the parts of the houses, so there'll be like this formal part of the house with like nicer decorations and a large dining area, and then there's like this everyday kind of space, and I do that by having the archways to each of the spaces, but then to get to the formal spaces there'll be doors, so like if there's no events going on or anything, there'll almost be like no reason to go in into those kinds of areas. So like I've just put a door there, so it's not always like visible if you're like in an everyday space, if that makes sense. You'll probably get it once you see it. And it looks like we're doing the upstairs area. It did take a while, but I skipped over most of it, so when we get to the upstairs area it will be largely finished. Here we go. Now we're working on the walls. I do refine the upper level once we get there though, because it was a bit too blocky, so I just made some little changes. Between the doors, so the room, the stair, where the room the stairwell is in does stay relatively the same the entire build, so it's basically complete. I do mess with the different types of floors. I think I go with a floorboard in the end, like a light floorboard, and then just put carpets. I mean, just put mats and rugs, because I think it looked good. The upper level does have mainly carpets though, because that was recently renovated. And I do choose to pick a more brownish tile for the kitchen because I always use black tiles in my kitchen, so I wanted to change it up a little bit and just make it more in style with the old aesthetic of the house, instead of having like this flashy modern kitchen out of nowhere surrounded by like old furniture, old paintings, historic paintings. I do mess with carpets in like the extension sections, but I do change that. So I think we're just about to start working on the kitchen. If not, I'll just skip to it. I do mess with the walls on the upper levels since it's meant to be more new. And I think I do end up changing those to doors in a bit. Well, I think I do that afterwards when I look at when I start building the... Yeah, this is where I change everything. So change the modern doors and windows to be in style, because I thought it was just a bit too out of place for the location it's in. And I do fiddle with the placement of those windows just so it's in line with the door, because it has to be in line or it's going to be off-putting, to me at least. I'm not sure about you guys, but everything, all the windows and stuff need to be in line because it just looks a bit off if it doesn't. So now we're working with the kitchen. It's like a really nice big kitchen, so I think 2 people would fit in here quite easily and cook and prepare food at the same time. And I do put some decorations in there a bit later, so don't worry about that. Bin. Nice. And now we're working on a dining space. So the dining space was going to be there initially, but I decided to put the bigger table in a different location because that was just kind of a bit too big for that space. But then again, like, there's only going to be like at most probably 4 people living in this house, so that kind of table is probably a bit too big for everyday use. That's why I included a smaller table with like a bit of a cheaper looking furniture, because I don't think a small family would need to use a big table like that every day to have their meals. But it's always good to have a table like that for events, so when you have like a dinner party, you can invite all your friends over and eat there instead of the tiny little table. Plus it looks pretty nice. I do mess with paintings early on. I think those pictures are of like the Sims that used to live in the house, so like past family members and ancestors. I think it's pretty good. This house could be a kind of like a house that's passed down to their children, which is why there's very old paintings and old furniture. It's their family members. Looks like we do the lounge room next. Putting that big TV in there, at first I didn't like it, but I think the family that lives here, they need technology, I'm pretty sure, so I've just put a tiny TV in there, or a big TV rather. But I do try and keep technology on the ground floor to a minimum, so I'm pretty sure the TV and like the kitchen appliances are like the only pieces of like modern day technology, and everything else is pretty old. I do mess with like this sitting area. I don't think it'll get used a lot because there's like nicer spaces to sit, but it's a good place to like have coffee if you have coffee, and it just looks nice when it's opened up for the formal occasions. Plus, when there's more people in the house during events, you need a lot more seating for guests to sit and chat. So that would be a nice place to do that. And there is a nice old bookshelf and some old paintings. I do mess with the layout of the TV and seats a bit, but it ends up going back to how it was. And there's a big couch, a 2-seater, and 1 armchair in the end. So there's plenty of space to sit down. Then we work on, and then there's also a little study in here as well. So there's a little study corner that you can put a computer down if you want, but I was going to put a computer down to begin with, but I decided not to because there would be way too much technology in the house for the size of for the style of the house. So if you want to put a TV there, a computer there, you can, but I've put 2 computers upstairs, so in the bedroom. So if your Sims need a computer, they probably will have one in their bedroom. Yes, I was gonna put like some kind of futuristic sci-fi computer, but no, I didn't. And I put another bookshelf in there as well. Made sure it wasn't the same one as the one out there because I try not to use the same furniture. And there's a little pool table that goes here as well, so you can have some fun with friends when they come over. And I think it fits with the style of house. You can be the judge of that, but I'm pretty sure it does. Put some more paintings down. I chose to use this weird tapestry kind of one, but I think it looked pretty good. And there's 2 of these like kind of modern paintings that I end up putting down. I think it's from City Living. Oh no, Cats and Dogs, I think. And then I put another Cats and Dogs painting down. Here we go. Now we're moving on to the everyday dining space. Actually, I changed the doors as I said I was going to, and now we're working on the dining room. So this is kind of like a more generic everyday kind of dining space, where you just sit down with your family at breakfast time and have some pancakes or something. I decided to use this weird like outdoor thing to begin with, but I just made it like I used the Cats and Dogs table, I think. And then just put the same, I think it's from the same set of chairs. I do end up centering it in the middle of the room in the end. I think I accidentally used that like one painting swatch with like the Sims in like the group of Sims like 3 times, so I didn't notice that until like a few minutes ago. But I still think as long as you don't like pay attention to it directly, I think it's fine. And there's probably other swatches I didn't use, so if you want, you can just like swap it and make it look a bit different. Putting some carpets down. I kept the back area the same in the end. Looks like I put the diagonal seating down, which is pretty cool looking. And this is the everyday kind of the toilet you'd use. So like, since the 2 bathrooms are upstairs, if you've got visitors or if you just need to go to the toilet for a quick moment, then you can just go downstairs, go to the downstairs one. And there's even a sink there so you can wash your hands. And I do split that room that we're looking at right now into 2, because then we can have 2 bedrooms. And I do take away a bit of room from the master bedroom, so it can have a bit more room for the 2 little bedrooms. I don't think they'd be great for 2-sized beds, so this is a good family house, but once the Sims age up into young adults, they should probably move out, because there's not gonna be enough room for them, unless they want a single bed. But the moment they want a double bed, I think they're gonna have to move out. But I'm sure the family that lives here has plenty of money to... The family that would live in this house would probably have plenty of money to spend to buy a second house or an apartment or something for their adult children. So we're working on decorating the house. This room becomes a more colourful room, and to begin with, the other bedroom that we're working on right now, it's a bit grey, but don't worry about that. It'll be changed to... It'll be a bit more colourful in the end. I do notice it eventually. So, working on the carpets. This is the master. This is the ensuite. So it does have some nice bathroom furniture. Well, bathroom things. So like a nice seasoned spa, a nice sleek looking shower with a nice bath. Nice toilet. It does have a laundry basket, but I end up not putting any laundry appliances in, so I think it would have been better to use the regular decorative basket instead, but I ended up accidentally using the laundry day basket. There's a little library inside the master bedroom, so you can read a book in the morning if you want, or just sit down, because I do put a chair in there as well. And then we move on to the main bathroom, I think. Actually, we just put a little table so you can put your books down or a drink. And then we move on to the main bathroom. So this one has a dual bath shower because there's not enough room otherwise, with this nice sink and toilet. Pretty simple, but it works. It's functional. Yeah, so this is when I I didn't realize at the time, but that room was basically all grey. So when I go back there later, it will be fixed, don't worry. Working on the dining room, or the lighting rather. And upstairs I do use my favourite lantern light, or the paper light. But in the bathrooms I use the down lights, as they're called here where I live. And then the simple wall lights in the bathroom. Quickly save. And then I think I just start doing a bit more decorations. And I do change the wall in the master bedroom to be brown. So it like makes the room feels really warm, if you ask me, because there's just lots of nice warm wooden tones in there, so it's really warm in the room. And I do change the flooring in the master bedroom to be wooden. Putting some nice paintings down. I'm not sure which one I pick in the very end, but I think I pick a really nice one. Yeah, that's a pretty nice one. A meadow. Yeah, so as you can see, I did change up all the colours in that bedroom to be a bit more non-grey with some brown elements. Brown wooden elements to it. But this room is probably the lighter room with like whites, greys, and pops of colour instead of just big chunks of colour. And there is a computer in each room, so don't worry, your children Sims that live in those rooms will have access to technology. Putting some more historic paintings down. I put another basket there. And I think this is when I changed the walling to be a brown colour. And I wanted to use lots of mats in this room, which is why I did end up going with a floorboard. Because you don't often put mats and carpets on the same floor, if you get it. Like, I usually put, if I have a carpet mat, if I have mats, I usually have a wooden floor or tiles. Because I don't often see, in real life as well, I don't often see people with large mats with carpet floors, because it's kind of like a double carpet, which is a bit weird and hard to clean, I guess. Anyway, doing a bit of indoor decoration, doing some more little decor pieces everywhere. Pot plants especially. I can never put enough plants down. I always try to restrain myself, but I end up putting way too many plants down, so the Sims that live in here would have a lot of watering to do every day if they had to water their pot plants. So put some accent tables down. I think I put a plate on that, yeah. And I do put another plate in the lounge area on the desk, which is a bit strange, but that's what I did. And I put a fruit bowl there. I think every house I build has to have at least one fruit bowl. And put some, yeah, I don't put a computer down here, but I do put like decorations and books and whatnot. I like the little study nook because there's lots of little bits and pieces there that make the room look really nice. And I think this is where... oh, not yet. Soon. And that's one of my favorite reading lights. Like, I really like that. More plants. More plants. Yeah, see, I can never get enough of my plants. I must put lots of plants down. And I do put some little cracks in the house. Like, it's really easy to delete if you do not like them, but I think it really adds to the house a bit. Makes it feel a bit more aged, but I do try and hide them behind paintings so they're not too prominent. And I was gonna delete that little wall dent, but I think I kept it in, but I'll probably delete that if I put a sim in here. And quickly do some terrain painting, and then I think we'll work on the exterior a little bit. Just put some big trees down, because the area surrounding the house has been relatively untouched during the house's existence, so it makes sense that there'd be pretty tall trees nearby. And I really like the exterior of the house with all the plants around it. I think it looks really nice. And I do, as I always do, I do end up terrain painting dirt around the entire foundation. I think after that, I do change the foundations as well to be brick. After I put some more plants down. Oh wait, am I done? Oh wait, I think I did do a little bit of edits off camera, so I think that's it. Time to move on to the screenshots. If you would like to download this build for yourself, just search me up on the Sims gallery under the Rowlet and look for the house called Lavender Homestead. Anyway, that's it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please tell me what you think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye!